United States and around the world is a system that undermines the humanity, quality of life of people of African descent, people of color, and poor people in general. This is proven to be so in the nation's capital, where the average white family has 81 times the wealth of the average black family. According to the Urban Institute in 2014, the typical white household in D.C. had a net worth of $284,000, whereas black households had a net worth of only $3,500. By all indications, it has only gotten worse. But there has been no emergency legislation to address these government policy-induced racist inequities. No retention plan for long-time residents or small businesses. Rather, this council has unanimously voted to move forward to deny that housing is a human right. MOK said that a budget is a moral document. The mayor's proposed budget cuts funding for ERAP less than half of last year's budget. And last year, the mayor's budget proposed cutting ERAP funding to just $8 million. A moral document indeed. D.C. is one of the most expensive cities to live in America, with a cost of living over 144% more than the national average. A study by the National Community Reinvestment Coalition found that D.C. had the highest intensity of gentrification of any city in the United States between 2000 and 2013, where they displaced more black people than New York City. Again, no emergency legislation to address a retention plan for long-time residents or small businesses. Rather, Phil Mickelson introduced ERAP reform bill on an emergency basis, which means it only requires one council vote and the mayor's signature, which is why they have the audacity, the caucasity, to make these tone-deaf, elitist statements. We hope that people now recognize the consequences of non-rent payment. Mayor Bowser. Basically, what we're getting at is it would not be possible to continue to game the system. My favorite local nemesis, Chairman Mickelson. Gaming the system. Phil, wow. The DMV metro area had the highest rent increase in America in 2024. In 2023, the pending case law for landlord and tenant branch, and I despise the term landlord, we are not serfs and this is not feudal Europe, the building owner and the tenant branch grew by 23%, with more cases pending than at any point in the past 10 years, despite the number of filings being less than prior to the pandemic. That means more people were actually trying to catch up and pay their bills and stay in their homes. Amending D.C. official code takes away judges' discretion and limits the number of stays a court can apply for a pending ERAP application to one per case. This motivates the building owner to remove longtime tenants who may be locked into a lower rent level for newer tenants for a higher level rent increase. This opens the door for building owners to not comply with the ERAP application process, but not providing requested information only to achieve desired eviction. Removing the barrier of tenants from being evicted from their homes with a pending application for ERAP funds is as inhumane and as immoral as the mayor's proposed budget cuts. Housing prices are artificially high and have turned the American home into a financial product first and a place of shelter second. Our council chairman has had no plan to crack down on housing code violations to protect low-income, black and brown, or non-English speaking tenants, with many are forced to live in conditions that will get a restaurant shut down overnight. What happened to the plan for a Green New Deal for housing that would have created a social housing model, much like the successful framework found in Vienna, Austria? In a Post article, Mayor Bowser said that she has allocated more than $82 million from the City Housing Production Trust Fund with the promise to expand affordable housing in the city of skyrocketing rents. We all know that housing affordability is one, if not the top issue in the District of Columbia. Everything that we do is going to help more people be able to afford to live in D.C., she said. 5 years later, the Inspector General announced that the same exact amount had been misused instead of going to extremely low-income households. Was she gaming the system? Let's be clear on what constitutes low income. The median salary in D.C. is about $77,000. In 2023, HUD defined low income as up to $95,000 for a family of four and up to $67,000 for a single person. That means your family income is under $95,000 or you as an individual make less than $67,000, you too are low income in D.C. The housing crisis is driven by corporate control over the political and economic destinies of the city. Folks in their elected offices oftentimes are having to capitulate to corporate interests or mainstream political interests in order to secure their finances and get into the networks that get them elected, while delivering only, for the most part, symbolic victories to the masses of low-income folks in this city. And until folks are clear about undermining the way in which the corporate sector is essentially able to curate folks that come before our community, that become elected officials in a still majority black city, until folks are willing to come to grips with that, we are essentially rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. The Emergency Rental Assistance Reform Amendment Act in the city with the highest rent increase in the nation is proof of this, and the rent is just too damn high, Councilman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I apologize, I'm not sure some of the witnesses are here, Cheryl Brunson. Can you tell me your name, please?
Melvine Perkins.
And thank you very much, Melvin Perkins. You can begin your testimony.
Yes.
Good day, council members and Chairman White. My name is Melvine Perkins. I reside in Ward 6, and I'm here to speak against the council's vote to permanently changing the Emergency Rental Assistance Reform Amendment Act of 2024. Having read several articles, viewpoints that is clearly a misrepresentation of the tenant's economic disparity of the pandemic recovery. In an article by Mark Murillo titled Changes to the Pandemic Program, Blame for DC Landlord Financial Crisis,